AITAH for threatening my father to kick him out with his family? Posted by you/tallmonth9107. I, 25M, am not from the US, and I'm not looking to get into legalities. I know where I stand on that. Some context: my father married his now wife when I was 15. She was really pushy with me because her relationship with her own daughter was almost non-existent. My father did nothing, and I ended up moving in with my grandpa, my father's father, a few months later. Grandpa passed away suddenly when I was 17, and I inherited all his properties. Instead of moving back with them, they moved in with me at Grandpa's house. I left when I was 18 to go to college, and I go back home a few times a year. I let them stay there, rent-free, as long as they don't touch my room and Grandpa's office. The house has 4 rooms. Now, I got a call from him telling me that I need to clean my room because they plan to turn it into a nursery. Apparently, my father's wife got in touch with her daughter because she is pregnant and doesn't have a place to stay. I denied his request and reminded him whose house they're staying in and that they'd better not touch the rooms unless they want me to kick them out. I told them there's an empty room, she can stay there, but he claims it's too small for both of them. I said that if they have a problem, they can go back to his own place. There, she can take my room. I don't know if he still has the house. I think I've been more than reasonable, but my uncle, my father's brother, who doesn't have the best relationship with my father, called me to say I should think about it and not kick them out. So I wonder. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Now would probably be a good time to remind them that their stay there isn't permanent and only continues because you allow it. I would also plan an unexpected trip home to check if they decided to ignore you and do whatever they want anyway. I don't think your dad has that house anymore. Why else would your uncle, who isn't close to him, tell you to think about it and not kick your dad out? He might not want his brother and family trying to move in with him. Ops response. I'm planning to go tomorrow morning to check the house and talk to them. And yeah, I think my uncle called for the same reason, that my father has already sold the house. But I also doubt my uncle will take them in. He knows that if my father and I have a falling out, he'll be the one my father turns to for help, and he wants to avoid that. Update 3 days later. The day I wrote the original post, I called Mrs. Lawyer to accompany me to the house to deal with this in a civil manner. Well, on Saturday we went early in the morning with the paperwork. Once we arrived and I tried to open the door, I got the pleasant surprise that my father had changed the locks. Big mistake. We talked through the door, and he told me that until I changed my mind, he wasn't going to let me in. I told him that I wasn't planning to kick them out and that I was there to resolve this the right way, but if he wasn't going to let me in, I was going to handle it my way. He still didn't let me in. On my way to the police station, my uncle called me and said that my father had called him to try to make me change my mind, but he wasn't going to do it and would support whatever I decided. At the police station, Mrs. Lawyer explained the situation, and they came with us so I could evict them without issues. Once there, the police spoke to them and told them they had to let me in and get their things out as soon as possible. I hired a moving truck for them. My father tried to fight it, saying that he sold his house and doesn't have a place to go, and also claimed that he was the rightful owner, but the dimwit doesn't have any paperwork to prove it. In a last attempt, he brought up the fact that my stepsister is pregnant, but unfortunately for them, she is in the early stages, and it doesn't matter either way. After their circus was over, the removal of their things was quick. Most of the things in the house are mine, except for what they had in their room and my stepsister's stuff. I'm currently in the house and plan to stay here for the next few days. I've changed the locks and am installing security cameras. I talked to my girlfriend about moving here, and she's more than happy to do so. I'm going to talk to my boss about the possibility of working from home, but it's not a real problem if I can't. Without having to worry about the house, figuring out the rest is easy. That's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. Thank you for taking the time with this mess I used to call family. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. How did they take it? I assume with a lot of profanities? Ops response. I watched from afar, but he didn't take it well. He looked scared and worried because the police and my lawyer were there. My lawyer handled the conversation and later told me what was said, which I included in the post. With Mrs. Lawyer present, the police there, and knowing he was already walking on thin ice, he didn't take any chances. He complied after both the police and my lawyer made it clear he had no case. Second update 6 weeks later. My girlfriend found this space and asked me to share our latest encounters with my father, so here it goes. Editor's note, Op recapped his previous posts here, and I am skipping to the new information. We hadn't heard from him until a few days ago, when he showed up at the house. I wasn't there, but my girlfriend was. She told me that my father came by to tell us that since we are now living in the house, we have to host them for the Christmas holidays. Not only that, he gave her a list of the food they wanted and the gifts they expected to receive. My girlfriend told him to go away before she called the police. I thought it was over again, but I was wrong. Yesterday, we received another visit from him. Apparently, he called my mother to invite her to spend the holidays with us. She blew him off and told him she would take us, my girlfriend and me, to Europe for New Year's Eve. He had the audacity to demand that she take them too. My mother just hung up. Mind you, this was the first time they had spoken since divorcing 16 years ago. He came to the house to demand that I convince my mother to take them as well, or that we pay for them to go with us. At this point, his attitude stopped being disappointing and turned comical. My girlfriend and I just laughed at him. We laughed so hard we didn't even notice when he left. I can say that while we didn't have the best relationship, he was never this entitled. I mean, it was already clear why my grandfather, his father, was completely disappointed in him, but it seems like he wants to take it to another level. I don't know if he will stop, but I hope he does for the rest of the year. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I hope you have a security system. You may even want to get a restraining order before he tries to break into the home while you're away. For Christmas, send him a postcard from wherever you go. Ops response. Yes, I have a good security system. Restraining orders are a joke in my country, but he knows I have no problem getting my lawyer and the police involved if he tries anything. Downvoted commenter. Dear Op, has it never occurred to you that your dad might be broken in some way, mentally, socially pressured, or that something might be wrong with him? Otherwise, why would a sane person do these things? And if he is broken, isn't it your responsibility to help him? Op's response. I agree that he is broken, but I can say it's by his own hand and not due to any pressure. He knows exactly what he's doing. I was basically raised by my grandparents, his parents, and they didn't raise me any differently than they did him or my uncle, who is another case altogether. It baffles me that they turned out this way. My grandparents raised us to be decent people, they simply chose not to be. It got so bad that my grandparents passed away without speaking to either of them. I grew up watching my father make one mistake after another, never taking ownership or trying to be better. My grandparents tried to help him, but he refused and insisted he was living his life the way he wanted. How can you help someone who thinks he's always right? My grandfather used to say that my father is weak, and I agree, because I have no argument to say otherwise. I never expected to get anything from my grandparents. I'm grateful for what they left me, and I still would be if they had left me nothing, because they already did more than they should have. I already knew I wouldn't get anything from my father, financially or emotionally. Same with my mother, our relationship is superficial and has been that way since I was a kid. But I won't worry if she ever stops and leaves me nothing, it's her right, just like it was with my father. In the end, I take what I'm given. And yes, I can agree with you, I'm also entitled. Third update 2 months 2 weeks later. Some have messaged me for an update, so this post can be considered one. After the last incident with my father, everything was quiet, and my girlfriend and I left for Europe. Christmas passed, and there was no sign of my father. My friends who were taking care of the house reported no incidents. Everything was going well until I received a call from my uncle, my father's brother, on December 28th. My uncle called to tell me that he's leaving the state and is selling his house. He asked if I was interested because he was pretty desperate to leave. He didn't tell me why, and I didn't care. What mattered was that he was desperate, and this was an opportunity to fulfill my grandpa's wish. Before I continue, I have to give some context. My uncle's house was my grandfather's childhood home. My grandpa gave it to him but later regretted it. He left me the task of recovering it and, if I succeeded, to give it to my cousin Marie, my uncle's daughter from his first marriage. He never recognized her, which is one of many reasons my grandpa regretted the decision. My uncle doesn't know that I have contact with his daughter or that I know everything about the past. If he did, he wouldn't have sold me the house. Yes, he is that petty. So, I decided to use the family card and my uncle's desperation to get the house cheap. I know the approximate value of the house, so I made him an offer, way below market value, but proposed to pay in 3 installments. My uncle declined because it was too low and because he wasn't planning to return. What he really meant was that he wasn't going to contact me again. I told him that if he could wait until my return, January 3rd, I could pay him the full amount at once, and I'd also take care of the legal fees and his moving expenses. Meanwhile, he just needed to pack and have the paperwork ready. Surprisingly, he immediately agreed. We returned, and I bought the house without issues. My uncle left the same day. The next day, I called my cousin to tell her to come as soon as she could to my country. She lives in Europe, because there was one more thing our grandparents left her. She came a few days ago, and I gave her the house and the rest of the money. She had to stay a few days to handle paperwork, and during that time, guess who showed up? Yes, my father. Unbeknownst to me, my uncle had another buyer, my father. My father had asked him to wait a few days so he could gather more money. When he did and called my uncle, the house had already been sold, to me. To avoid confrontation, my uncle told him I was the buyer. Knowing he couldn't approach my house anymore, my father decided to go to the new one, but he was in for a surprise. He knocked and demanded that I give him the house. No one was inside at the time, so he decided to break in. Yes, he actually did. We saw everything through the doorbell camera. My cousin doesn't speak our language, so I called the police on her behalf. Thanks to the area and the fact that my cousin is a foreigner, the police responded faster than before. It's a pity I don't have a photo of my father's face when he realized the house wasn't mine. It was glorious. With the help of my lawyer, and mine, my cousin pressed charges. Combined with his previous actions, my father will now spend a few months in jail. Thanks to a few people, I found out why my uncle was desperate to leave. He seriously pissed off his wife's family. I sent him a text saying that if he liked ratting me out to my father, I could return the favor with his wife's family, so he'd better not come back unless he wants to play stupid games. He blocked me after that, lol. He already said he wasn't coming back, but I'm making sure he doesn't. In the end, if my cousin decides to keep the house, this works in her favor since she doesn't want to run into my uncle. So yeah, the year started off with a bang. I've pretty much rid myself of my so-called family, hopefully for good, and can finally start building one with my girlfriend without the worry of unwanted people showing up. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. What did the uncle do to upset the wife's family? Ops response. He got drunk on Christmas and ended up fighting with his brother-in-law and his nephew, brother-in-law's son. And if that wasn't enough, he also punched his stepdaughter who was trying to calm him down. All this happened in front of his wife's entire family. Commenter. Just curious, was he charged or arrested? Ops response. None, which is why he was in a hurry to leave.